Alright, we have the Teamfight Tactics patch notes for patch 11.24. This patch is going to last 1 month, so even though I'm a little late on it, I feel like it's important to go over because a lot of different stuff is going to be happening. And like, because the patch is lasting for forever because it's the holiday season, so Riot is not going to be doing as many updates, I feel it is very important to go over. So just as a brief overview, Mutants, Clockworks, trait-linked Augments, Duet, Broken Stopwatch, Blue Buff, Shaco, Fiora, Orianna, Scion, Akali, Frozen Heart are all being buffed. There are a couple things being nerfed. Challenger, Innovator, like all the Innovator stuff. Item Grab Bag, Featherweights, Garen, Trundle, Katarina, Vex, Jinx, Victor, Taric, and Echo are all being nerfed. And then for the adjustments, Jhin, Galio, Jace, Windfall, and March of Progress. Gonna be interesting to see what these two are there. And then we also have the Chemtech and Spellblade rework. I really am glad that Chemtech and Spellblade are being reworked because Spellblade was really bad into Dragonclaw and Chemtech just wasn't rewarding as the higher you went up. So let's start off with the trait augments. This is really important because the soul and hearts are going to be adjusted a lot because a lot of times you were forced into a particular build when you took them, or like the flexible ones were just by far better, or even just the stat ones were better. So they're adjusting a lot of the trait ones. Assassin Heart now grants you a Talon. If you get this early, just having that early Talon, even if you like aren't super committing to Assassins, already gives you a huge advantage because Talon is a great early game unit. After that, Bodyguard now also grants a Leona. This one's huge. That gives you like, essentially it's Bodyguard plus 3 gold, and the 3 gold unit is pretty good. And yeah, that's just makes it a lot better. Bruiser Heart grants you a Trundle. Challenger grants you a Warwick. This one I feel like is the weakest one. Like, I'd much rather have a Trundle if I'm going Bruiser. Much rather have a Bodyguard if I'm going Leona. Not quite as strong as having a Warwick when I get Challenger. If it was a Quinn, then we could have a different discussion. But I feel like this is the weakest so far. But it makes sense because a lot of people play Challengers throughout the early, mid, and late game. Not too many people play Bruisers. Like, I'm talking about like 6 or 8 Bruisers in the super late game. Same with the Bodyguard. So it actually makes complete sense that some of them are stronger than the others. Clockwork, you get a Zillion. Enchanter Heart, you get a Taric. This one sounds actually super, super good. Enforcer Heart now grants you a Vi. Imperial Heart grants you a Swain. Mutant Heart gets a Kog'Maw. Protector, Blitzcrank, Scholar, Lissandra. Ooh. Alright, we'll forget that this one exists. Scrap Heart now also grants an Echo. Sniper, a Tristana. Syndicate, a Zyra. And then Twin Shot gives you a Graves. Really? You just get a Graves if you get Twin Shot, but all these other guys get something awesome? I wonder if Twin Shot was actually a good heart to get, because it just feels like Graves doesn't feel the same as getting an Echo, you know? But we'll see how that plays out. Gold trait augments, so all augments that grant 1 emblem have been renamed. They're now called Crests. So I don't even remember what they were called before. So Crest now gives a Twisted Fate. Assassin gives an Echo. Bodyguard gives a Leona. Bruiser gives a Trundle. Challenger gives a Warwick. Chemtech a Zac. Imperial a Talon. Mutant a Kog'Maw. Scholar a Heimerdinger. Scrap an Echo. And Sniper a Tristana. And then Syndicate a Zyra. Very interesting stuff here because like there's a huge discrepancy in the power level of a lot of these units. But what I really like about this is that you're able to balance all these traits and still keep them at the same tier of like gold, silver, prismatic, and whatnot. So I really like that they implemented this into the system. We'll just have to see how it plays out. From what I've been hearing so far, it's been like much more rewarding to get these things. But we'll have to see as the patch goes on, because like we're only in the first couple of days, so a lot of things can change there. Now onto the crowns and souls. They're all being renamed to crowns. So Academy Crown now gives 2 emblems. Arcanist gives 2 emblems now instead of just giving 2 more of the trait. So that is the same for Assassin, Bodyguard, Bruiser, Challenger, Chemtech, Imperial, Mutant, Protector, Sniper, and Syndicate. And then after that, we have Clockwork Soul granting 8 gold, Enchanter granting 8 gold, Enforcer, Scholar, and Scrap also giving 8 gold. So a lot of the team-wide buffs they're keeping as souls, and all the other ones that could buff individual units they're turning into emblems, which is a buff in most cases. So I'll tell you the one case where it's not a buff. Let's say you want to go for 8 Arcanists, but you're only level 7. You can't actually get to 8 Arcanists without the soul, because if you have the crowns, you only have 7 units in play, and then you can't actually physically get 8 Arcanists. So that is the one situation where this is worse, but more often than not, this is going to be better because you get 150 health on the emblem, and you put it on a unit, that unit gets that specific buff, so it's like more power than you would have gotten if you were just having the soul. So apart from that really outside scenario, these are all going to be better than they were before. As for granting gold, dude, imagine if you get a prismatic start in the early game, you get, like, all of these sound pretty good, to be honest, but like, let's say you get Scholar's Soul, you get mana for your whole team. Literally every team benefits from that, and then you get an additional 8 gold to just super econ with. Compare that to like Windfall, where I believe you get like 15 gold or 20 gold. It's not a bad trade-off. I'd trade off like 10 gold for getting Scholar's Soul for the entire game. So I think these bottom ones are super, super strong, but we'll have to just see. So now onto the augments. So Broken Stopwatch, which was a clockwork one. That one pretty much just like froze non-clockwork units for a couple of seconds. It is now being changed from prismatic to gold, and the stun duration is being changed from 5 to 4 seconds. Okay, that actually makes sense. I didn't see many people abusing this that much, because the clockwork units aren't actually... they're all good units, you just never run like a 4 clockwork comp or a 6 clockwork comp that often compared to everything else. Duet for Socialite. Now, in addition to providing a second spotlight, gives a bonus of 500 max health to spotlighted champions. Sounds pretty good to me. Featherweights, bonus attack and move speed now give a little less, because Featherweights was really broken. So 5% less at 1 star and 10% less at 2 and 3. Innovator Heart can no longer be offered on the first augment choice? Really? I know it is really good to get, but that means like innovators are just so much weaker now, right? I'm very conflicted. I know it was like one of the best ones to get, but compared to all the other trait improvements that they gave for all the other augments, is it really still that strong? It probably was, but like it still feels weird that you just can't get it on the first one, and then Innovator Soul can only be offered on the third augment. I don't know if like innovators are going to be that great anymore, you know? So item grab bag 1 and 2 star removed, no longer grants reforgers. I'm pretty sure this is a typo. They don't mean they're removing the augment, it just means that they're removing the reforgers. Level up can no longer be offered after choosing March of Progress. Okay, makes complete sense. March of Progress can now only be offered on the first augment choices. I have actually seen some scenarios where people take it on the second one, and people say it's not bad, but it makes sense to only put it on the first one. March of Progress XP is being increased by 1, but it's being changed from gold to prismatic. I'm really sad about that, because this was one of my favorite augments, and getting it more often because it's gold feels a lot better. I wonder if it was actually OP according to the data. I felt it was super broken at gold, but a lot of people hated it. So there are actually a lot of conflicting opinions about March of Progress, but they changed it to a prismatic, so I think this is overall like a nerf to this. But I'm guessing according to the data, this change made sense. It was super broken in my opinion at gold. Spellblade reworked. After casting their abilities, Arcanist's next attack deals bonus magic damage equal to 200% of their ability power. Okay, and I guess that's alright. It doesn't get quite as punished by the Dragon Claw, but I feel like it might need a little more juice. Windfall, gold given, 20 to 15, 25 stays the same, and then 30 to 35 for tier 3. Makes a lot of sense, and again, the comparison for Windfall versus some of the other souls that we saw from before, you're trading 7 gold for like a team-wide buff. Like everything apart from scrap just helps every single team, you know? Enforcer Soul gives you 2 Enforcer. Enchanter Soul gives you a lot of magic resist. Clockwork gives you a lot of attack speed. Scholar gives you like mana regeneration. It just seems really, really good compared to Windfall. So I don't think you want to take Windfall early if you get one of these other choices. But Windfall's still good, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's just weird that way. So next up we have the traits. Challenger attack speed is being changed. So nerfing at 4, 6, and 8 Challenger makes complete sense. Like Challenger stacking was really, really strong. Chemtech now always lasts 8 seconds. Before it was like 4 seconds, 8 seconds, 12 seconds, and then like forever or something like that. But the attack speeds are being reduced. So 3 Chemtech now lasts double the duration, but you get half the attack speed. The health regeneration is also scaling now. And then at 5 Chemtech, it's literally the same buff as before. And then at 7 Chemtech, it now is stronger. You get more attack speed and health regeneration. And then at 9, you get even more of that. Makes complete sense. You had 0 incentive before for going from even like 3 to 5 Chemtech. But now it actually makes sense to do it because you get a stronger buff. So you actually gain something by putting in more units of that specific trait. It'll be really fun to try out like a 7 or 9 Chemtech comp. If you guys have tried one already and like it's worked pretty well for you, let me know what comp it was in the comments below and like what your ranking was. So Innovator, Mechanical Bear Power Surge, Ally Attack and Ability Power Team Buff is being nerfed from 25 to 20. Mechanical Dragon Electrifying Roar Ally Crit Damage Buff, 75% to 40%. Why? So one thing that doesn't make sense to me is why nerf the Innovator, Heart, and Soul by that much, and then also nerf the Bear and the Dragon. Because a lot of their strength was getting them early, and then win streaking with it, and then having more health than other people. You know what I'm saying? So, feels like they could have done a different approach to this. I would have been more of a fan of keeping the Innovator augments, like, as random as they were before, but making the Scarab and the Dragon weaker. I felt like that would have been a good thing to do. Mutant Adrenaline Rush chance for extra attacks is being changed to 40 and 75 from 33 and 66, so that is a buff there. And then Clockwork bonus attack speed is being buffed at 4 and 6 Clockwork. Makes complete sense. No one was really going for that apart from getting like Clockwork Soul. So yeah, this makes complete sense. I'm pretty happy about this. Clockwork is actually like, I love all the units. I love Orianna, I love Jhin, I love Zillion. Camille's really good early game, so they're all like good units. So it's actually surprising that Clockwork isn't played more. Now onto the champions. Garen's Decisive Strike missing health damage percentage is being changed by 20% to 15. And Katarina getting nerfed, 20 damage at level 1, 25 at level 2, and 50 at level 3. She's probably still fine. I think I have her in like the B tier right now. She's just not super broken like she was before. Trundle Chomp is also being nerfed, thank God. Same at level 1, 5 damage at level 2, and then 10 damage at level 3 for the steal percentage. And then Chomp's attack speed slow is being changed from 50% to 25. All right, so far, like for the champions, so good. And then for tier 3, Echo Parallel Convergence ally attack speed is being nerfed. Yeah, Echo was pretty broken. I'm surprised they're nerfing 3-star Echo though. I felt like they could have kept 3-star Echo the same, but nerfed like 1 and 2-star. Shaco gets 50 health, and he gets a little less mana, which is a good thing. And then he also gets a damage bonus. So Shaco's being buffed by quite a good amount. The thing about Shaco is that he was actually like hot garbage before, so buffing him by this much, he'll probably be decent, but just, yeah, he just was horrible before, so he's probably okay now. Maybe okay to good. Taric, Bastion Healing, 375. It's being nerfed to 325. I guess it's just being nerfed by 50 health at levels 1 and 2, but the 3-star is being the same. Yeah, Taric is pretty broken, and I like that they didn't touch the 3-star Taric because no one goes for that, so it keeps the incentive there to have that as an option. Vex Personal Space Stacking Shield bonus upon being destroyed is being changed from 25% to 10%. The shield is being nerfed by like 50 at level 1, 100 at level 2, and 150 at level 3. And then the damage is also being nerfed by 25, 65, and 100. These are some huge Vex nerfs. This is why Arcanists are so bad. Holy cow. Now it makes sense because Vex was like the main carry of Arcanist, and it just, like, she just got completely destroyed. So now on to Champions Tier 4. Fiora attack damage buff by 5. Blade Waltz, a little bit of a damage buff as well. People have told me that Fiora is a really good challenger right now, and going Fiora carry actually is pretty good. Jhin max mana buff slightly by 10. Attack damage lowered a little bit, and then the damage is being changed as well. But I like that he's getting an earlier cast, because that was really cool. Like, his ability is the cool part, not the freaking like auto attacks or anything like that. So thematic wise and like play wise I like this change. He probably has like similar power level as before. Lux Final Spark mana refund on kill being changed from 30 to 20. Orianna mana buff, she now only has 140 mana instead of 180. This is good overall for her second cast. Orianna's command Shockwave Stun is being changed from 1.5 to 1 second to compensate for that. And then Sion's health is being buffed by 100, and his stun duration is being increased at 2 and 3 star. Great changes to Sion. Orianna, I like these changes as well because it makes her more of a carry rather than like a CC bot. Now onto tier 5 champions. Akali buffs, 50 health. Execution damage is also being buffed at 1 star by 25. 2 and 3 star are remaining the same. And I guess this is why people are playing the Akali comp. Akali's strong, Shaco's strong, so you're just going to be really chilling from there. Galio got a health buff, damage nerf, and then his entrance damage is also being buffed. So now he is more of a caster, less of an attack damage person, so the Clapio build is slightly weaker, but I think it's actually still pretty good. Galio at 3 stars now makes an even larger entrance with a greater crash zone radius and diameter. So he probably kills everything because it does 9,000 damage. Jace's melee shield amount being nerfed by 50 and 100, and then his range attack form is now being buffed. 10 damage at level 1, 10 at level 2. So attack damage Jace is going to be a little better, and the tank is going to be a little worse. Now on to Jinx. Jinx is being nerfed by 0.05 attack speed, and her damage scaling is being nerfed at 2 star by just 10%. So very minor nerfs on Jinx. She's probably like, I mean, just slightly worse. It hurts the late game of the Urgot comp. That's what comes to my mind, but like, it's whatever. Victor's being nerfed, and then his damage is also being nerfed. Wow, Victor, I didn't know he was that broken. I feel like they just need to make him less reliant on Shojin, and that should just be like all they need to do. Because he's so bad without it, but he's so good with it, so yeah, I don't know. He's just a tough champion to balance. So now for the items, blue buff now grants an additional 20 starting mana. Huge on Lux, by the way, guys, because she will pretty much just auto and then cast right away. Frozen Heart attack speed slow is now being buffed by 10%. I don't know why they did this. I felt like Frozen Heart was like, it's not your first choice of tank item. Don't get me wrong there. But the reason why it's not as good is because there aren't jumping assassins or like other units that jump around that much that you'd want Frozen Heart on. Like, you don't want Frozen Heart on Kaisa, for example, even though she jumps around. So that's the reason why Frozen Heart isn't as good, but on a tank, it's not bad, you know? Like, against the melee carries, it slows their attack speed a lot. A lot of people play Knife's Edge, and when they go on the second row, Frozen Heart will affect them. So I feel like going from 25 to 35 instead of just chilling at 30% is a little aggressive, you know? Like, it was never like a bad item. It's just not your first choice tank item because Bramble Vest is so good. Why would I waste a chain on Frozen Heart when I could just make a Bramble Vest? So that is the reason why people aren't building Frozen Heart. It's not because the item is bad, it's just there are better options. So by buffing it by this much is a little scary. I feel like just like a slight buff would have sufficed, but what do I know? So now onto the small changes. So Featherweight's bonus attack speed and movement speed is now being changed. I think they already had this change from before. Gold reserves, mercenaries, bonus damage per gold being buffed from 1 to 2%, and the damage cap is now capped at 60, but is achievable at 30 gold. Stand United gets one more, like, thingy per trait. So I've heard it's really good now, and it kind of sucked before, so it makes sense. But maybe it's too good. This one's hard to balance because you can't go halvesies, you know? Knife's Edge attack damage is being nerfed a little bit across the board. Knife's Edge was really, really good, so this makes complete sense. Cram Session. Ooh, I'm such a big fan of Cram Session because on Lux it's just so incredible. This change doesn't do too much in terms of like helping Lux because she's going to get her second cast off pretty much right away anyways. But maybe for the other champions this helps a little more. Broken Stopwatch is now... Okay, we already went through that one. Portable Forge options. All of these items are being buffed by a lot. 15 attack damage on Death's Defiance, more attack speed, and more like tankiness from that. Gold Collector drop chance is now being changed from 100% to 75. Makes sense because this one was like so good if you got it early. Mana Zane. Alright, yeah, Mana Zane's kind of bad. Azonius Paradox being buffed, that's good. And then also the Magic Resist and Armor is also being buffed. And then the Rocket Propelled Fist will now ignore Blitzcrank's hook target when deciding which unit to hook. This means that you could hook 2 different targets, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and again, the patch notes writer, minions are people is right. This means you should try this, not because it will be good, but because it will be funny. And that is, I mean, that's just true, you know? The following augments will now appear more often. Ascension, Cybernetic Implant, Knife's Edge, Makeshift Armor, and Underdogs. I wonder why they decided for this. By the way, I heard Ascension is really good now, just like FYI. Because the fights are just lasting a lot longer now, because they nerfed a lot of stuff. So now onto the traits. Academy bonus attack damage and ability power being slightly buffed at 4 Academy, and then the scaling is being buffed at 6 and 8 Academy. So going later into Academy is going to be more beneficial. I wonder if people have messed around with like an Academy Lux build, because that might be better than the Arcanist one now. Arcanist team ability power is being buffed at 8 Arcanists, and total ability power is also being buffed at 8 Arcanists. Oh yeah, because they both get them. Oh, it's also being nerfed at 4 Arcanists. See, you can't nerf Vex and then also nerf the Arcanist, because it just leaves no reason to go for Arcanist anymore. Bruiser health is being buffed at 6 Bruiser. They should also buff 8 Bruiser, I feel like, because while it's like decent in the mid game, by the time you get 8 Bruiser with like a soul, let's say, it's probably during stage 4, so that's where Bruisers shine. But after that, like, 1 Giant Slayer, and then you're just kind of, you know, it's not as good anymore. For 5 Imperial, non-Tyrant bonus damage is being buffed by 25%. Syndicate bonus armor and magic resist buffed by 10. Man, they buff Syndicates a lot. I don't know why they did that. Like, I know I have the hindsight advantage of knowing Akali is OP, but like, Syndicate wasn't bad last patch. It was like B tier, you know? Like maybe B minus, which isn't good, you know, but like you already buffed it, you buff Shaco and Akali, but then you're buffing the armor as well. I guess 7 Syndicate getting a nerf makes complete sense, but like this is barely a nerf, you know. When you're playing 7 units, like only one of the other units isn't a Syndicate, you know, so it doesn't change much in terms of like the big picture. Also, like the difference between these two, it might even be a buff. Let's see. So 50 times 1.5 is 75. That was the old one. And then 60 times 1.33 is 8. So yeah, actually, it's just a buff across the board. All right. I guess the Omnivamp doesn't get buffed as much, so that is the one difference. But the resistances, you get more than before. Yeah. So it just doesn't make sense to me. You don't need to do that many buffs to Syndicate, which is why it's OP now. So it's like, I know I have hindsight, but I probably would have said this anyways, because I say this every time they buff something like 50 different ways. Twin shot bonus attack damage, and like it was only like B, maybe B minus tier last patch. Twin shot bonus attack damage is being buffed a bit. So I wonder why you get a twin shot Graves if you get the soul, but then they like buff twin shots, because like I thought it was weak. That's what I said before, right? So Graves is just like, I'd rather just give me like the Kog'Maw or something, you know? Like, or a GP. Like, no, that'd be too good. That'd be way too good. So Champions Tier 1, Camille nerf. Makes sense, she was too strong. Darius nerf, makes sense, he was really strong. Healing nerfed. Alright, so they do a little bit of a nerf to Syndicate, so no, my point still stands. Kassadin, Null Sphere, Mana Reave is being changed to a flat 50%. Then Champions Tier 2, Blitz Rocket Grab, Tier 3 is being nerfed. Why do you do that? You talk about the fun part about the rocket-propelled fist, and then you just nerf Blitzcrank. Doesn't make sense. Kog'Maw Barrage target max health bonus damage is being nerfed a little bit. Also, like, is being changed, actually. It's 6 to 7%, and then 7 to 8%, so that's a buff, but the 3-star gets a little bit of a nerf. So the thing about nerfing Blitzcrank is that no one actually just goes for 3-star Blitzcrank. You go for 3-star Blitzcrank because you're going protectors and you're going for 3-star protectors. If you nerf like 3-star Garen, 3-star Kassadin, which they did, I'm not saying they didn't, that disincentivizes going for 3-star Blitzcrank because the comp isn't as strong. But in any other comp, you're never just like going for Blitzcrank. So I feel like you should keep the reward there of the bigger Blitz 3 rather than nerfing it, you know? Just nerf the comps he is played in, where he's kind of like the 3rd priority unit for like your tanks. But Zyra's delay between her cast and stun has slightly been reduced. And then Champions Tier 3, Cho'Gath, slight buff. I heard he's getting nerfed later, but we'll have to see what that is. Heimerdinger, Swarm Rockets being nerfed across the board. Actually just at 2 and 3-star. I don't really know if that was necessary, but I haven't seen many Heimerdingers. They also nerfed Innovators, so that's a lot of Innovator nerfs. Okay, so Lissandra Iron Maiden damage is being nerfed by 25, 50, and 75 damage. Makes complete sense. Lissandra was really, really strong last patch. The attack damage reduction duration is also being reduced by 1 second, and then the percent is 40% to 30%. All these make complete sense. She was way too good before. They also nerfed Knife's Edge, though, so against that augment, it's probably like around the same. Or I guess it like balances out because it's like a lower percent of a lower number. Samira, attack damage being nerfed a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. And then Urgot, mana buff. I heard this one was weird, but we'll have to see how it interacts with the new Chemtech buff. Yone, attack damage, 80 to 75. So I've heard Yone not that great anymore. He's not bad, but like you just can't play him like every single game, you know? You probably have to flex between him and another comp if you want to like get a better climb or whatever. So Ionic Spark max damage reduced by 25%. Yeah, that makes sense. Ionic Spark was just a great item overall. I don't care about Hyper Roll, and then I don't really care about this, but I've heard people complain about this, but I have no idea what it was. This is just like the loot stuff. But onto the bug fixes. Champions will no longer randomly swap targets after casting their spells. This is a huge change because it buffs a lot of units because it'll kill more stuff now. Like Garen, for example, he casts a lot and he switches targets. It's always weird when that happens. But like whether the comp you liked got buffed or nerfed from this change, like this just has to happen. Like, you know how in like politics there's like some things that like both parties agree on? Like this just has to be one of it. Even if it like doesn't benefit whatever your party is or comp in this case, like there's some things as like for the long term of the game, like you should get rid of it, you know? This is like one of those things. Scouting and scouting. Tactician scouting has been reactivated in double up now that we have fixed a bunch of bugs. Lissandra GA buff, she no longer fizzles her ult cast, beautiful. She's also getting a buff, now correctly retargets a unit if her original target dies during the spell's cast time. Awesome. Units, that's the crazy thing about Lissandra. She was bugged, she missed like so many of her ults last patch, but she still was good. That's how good she was. Units can no longer instantaneously be moved to the bench and then back to the battlefield by deploy, battlefield, return to bench hotkey. Okay, this was like the fast swapping. You can't do that anymore. Miscalculated. Calculated loss will no longer give you a roll on 2-1 when taken as your first augment. I always wondered why that happened, but I guess now I learned it is a bug. Soldiers for hire fix an issue where the 7 mercenary soldier payout not working. Fix an issue where mana reduction from the mutant emblem would sometimes not work correctly. Secret extrovert, fix an issue where the second secret socialite hex can be used even without the duet augment. Twin talons, fix an issue where 2 talons were refreshing each other bleeds attacks when attacking the same unit at the same time. Uninvited to the party, fix situations where certain champions' visual effects would continue to show during the victory sequence even after the champion was hidden. Incompatible fleshlings, blitzcranks, allies will no longer attempt to rocket grab a target if they're immune to crown control and did not get hooked. Okay, that's good. Monsoon, fix Kaisa failing to fire her Acathian Monsoon missiles after dashing if she was stunned or in Guardian Angel stasis. Reinforcing, Enforcers 4 now properly stuns the enemy unit with the highest damage dealt last combat. And then Clarity, the Clear Mind augment was no longer considers Toma trait as a unit. I actually think I ran into this issue once. I'm glad they fixed this. Tooltips, wait for no one. Zillion's tooltip now properly shows a 25% attack speed reduction at 1 star, was showing 20% when it was slowing by 25. Dog ears, underdogs now correctly ticks every second instead of ticking every other second for twice the heal amount. Ezreal no longer fails to gain mana on his first attack after casting his ability if he has a high amount of attack speed. Rocket-propelled fist from Portable Forge augment will now fire its hook even if they are stunned. And then Malzahar no longer fails to gain mana on his first attack after casting his ability for the first time in combat. And then we're all winners here. The double up victory sequence will no longer pick an empty board to display as winner of the game. And then build same but different, fix an issue where some trait augments would still show up after the build different augment was taken. Such as like one of the souls. That's pretty funny because doesn't that just negate your whole team or something? That'd be really troll. So overall, like, big patch. They fixed a lot of the issues, I feel like. While I don't agree with all the approaches, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I'll try to keep this video short because it was kind of long and like the patch came out already. But again, I do these every time a new patch comes out. I was just on vacation before, so that's why I did not have this up until couple days after. But new tier list on Friday as usual, and I'm gonna be doing like daily content again. I hope at least 5 videos a week, so definitely keep a lookout for that if you are interested in seeing more of this. But yeah, apart from that, that is all from me today.